and welcome to my meat shop. In this episode, I'm going to be making a chicken sausage, fresh chicken sausage for my granny. So, let's make some sausage. All right, so like I said, we're going to be making a chicken sausage, a fresh frying tomato basil chicken sausage for my granny. My granny's a wonderful lady, maybe one of the most wonderful ladies you'll ever meet. Very polite, very kind, and she always cooked us wonderful meals anytime we were at her house. We'd always go down for Christmas and things like that. And this Christmas, she was up at our house and she was scrolling through one of my recipe books and she found this one, which I converted into grams per kilograms for you guys. And I told her I would make it for her. It is June, so sorry for the delay, Granny, but we're doing it now. It is, like I said, a tomato basil chicken sausage, and we're gonna make this all chicken. She wanted to exclude the pork. Granny likes chicken a little bit more than pork. We're gonna stuff it into lamb casings at the end so that it's a nice, delicate snap type casing. Sometimes the hog can be a little bit on the chewy side in a fresh sausage. But the recipe goes like so. 1 kilogram of skin on chicken thighs. You kind of want to use the dark meat in chicken sausages, and if you're not including pork, you don't want to have something with some skin that's got some fat content for moisture in the frying process. So we got 1 kg of skin on chicken thighs. You can also buy chicken trim. And we're going to use 18 grams of salt per kilogram, 1.5 grams of black pepper per kilogram, 4.5 grams of garlic per kilogram. This is where the recipe gets interesting. 12 grams of chopped basil. I have some basil paste in my pre-weighed out stuff here. 50 grams of chopped Roma tomatoes. We got that guy here. Then we got 30 grams of sun-dried tomatoes. The tomato flavor is going to be quite predominant. We have some guys here. 30 grams of red wine vinegar. 30 grams of olive oil. That olive oil is going to be kind of help the leanness of this chicken a bit. And 30 grams of red wine. So red wine, garlic, tomato, and basil are going to be the main flavors. And I think those go well together. First things first, I'm going to take these little chicken thighs and bone them out one by one and get a weight at the end. To bone out a chicken thigh, if you've never done it before, I'll bring it in. It's dead simple. That's the skin side of our chicken thigh, and in here is the bone side. You can see the bone right there and the other side right there. All you do, take your nice sharp butcher knife. You can almost just about rip them out. Chicken is so tender. Just nip that little bone out. Try and save your meat if you can. And voila. That's all it takes. You want to pay attention right here that there's no bone cartilage. Right there I have a little bit, so I'll nip that out. You want it to be just skin and that nice dark meat. And I'll do all that for all the chicken thighs and grind them up. Okay, there's our pile of boned out chicken thighs. Not a really big batch, it's only going to be around 1 kg, so I'm just going to use this little container that the chicken came in, save a dish for cleanup. Let's see what we got here. See if I can read upside down and backwards. 1.3 kgs. All right, close enough. We'll mix up the spice. I'm actually going to pop these in the freezer just to prevent smearing and whatnot when they go through the grind. I want them nice and cold. So I'll pop them in the freezer and then we'll prepare some of the other ingredients. I have my sun-dried tomatoes and my Roma tomato. I'm curious about how this is going to affect the texture since this is a high water content ingredient. Too much water sometimes can affect the texture, as well as we're adding vinegar, which can affect bind. Chicken doesn't quite have as much protein as pork and beef, so the texture might be a little bit different, as well as another oil. So I'm curious to see how that turns out. We're just going to chop these up into little bits. And the other part too is they're getting fine ground into the final sausage is what the recipe says. So they're going to be, there's not a notable texture difference. All right, I'm just going to cut them up into little cubes. Let's see how good my editing has gotten. Pretty good. All right, grab a little weight off these. We're looking for just over 50 grams and just over 30 grams of sun-dried tomatoes. Perfect. This should bring us up to 80. Just a little over. Boom. There we go. And before I even started the video, I started to soak this lamb casing. It was tubed. I pulled it off the tube to show you guys you don't need to buy tubed lamb casings. You can use these ones. They're just a little bit more difficult. But now let's go fetch that chicken and run it through the grinder. All right, so the recipe book says to grind it through once on just a small plate or a fine plate. I do usually grind chicken twice, even though it is nice and tender, but I'm thinking we might get better results with the texture of the sun-dried tomatoes and things. So once through on this fine plate, get that going while the chicken's still cooling down. In the book, it says to add the ingredients before the grind. I don't really like doing that because I feel like you lose some flavor to the inside of the grinder, and it tells us to mix it in a KitchenAid mixer after anyways, so let's just put the spices onto the ground meat when we're done. Pop my gloves on just because it's going to start getting sticky at this stage. I am going to add the tomatoes and stuff to go through on the grind, not the spices, but nice and slightly frosty, but not totally rigid. We'll pop that in there. Send her through. Here we go. Use my homemade plunger. So it's good and tight. There we go. You can see the little bits of tomato and stuff in there. It's going through nice and easy. Since it's just a little bit frosty, it's right where I want it. Beautiful. See you later. Voila, chicken ground with tomatoes. Now, let's mix up our seasonings into here and we'll measure out the oil and add the oil and stuff after. The recipe book says to use a KitchenAid mixer, but you can just do it with your hands. There's our salt and garlic and pepper, and this is that, right there, that's my tomato or basil paste. It's gonna go in. You don't need a KitchenAid mixer. I swear the guys that write these books, someone else is doing the dishes. Just use your hands, one less thing to clean. All right, all of a sudden it started smelling wonderful. So I was mixing this up here. I was thinking my granny's been waiting for this since Christmas. I mentioned it's June. You guys are thinking probably about the same. You can empathize with my granny. I've only made about 2 videos this year. I've been a busy guy, but there will be more videos to come. I'm gonna do some emulsified sausage ones. I now have some time finally to start doing this again. So more is coming down the pipe. You said that last time, Dunk. No, but more is coming down the pipe this time. I promise. And sticky chicken sausage ready to get stuffed. Oh, I forgot to add the vinegar and wine. It's not ready to get stuffed. Okay, liquids for more flavor and fat content. What was I doing again? Where'd the recipe go? Holy smokes, you can tell he's out of touch. We need 30 grams of dry red wine. Tear the scale so you get an accurate measurement. There we go. I usually take a sip, but it is 7:25 a.m. Olive oil, another 30 grams. Okay. And finally, 30 grams of red wine vinegar. Brand new, gotta take the top off. Add more wonderfulness to our concoction. And I'm going to mix and mix and mix till that's incorporated. And then we'll get to stuffing. Whew, it smelled good before, but red wine, tomato, and basil, they're 3 good friends. Golly, this one smells good. I don't know what you guys do for a living, but I like what I do for a living. This smells good. Not that YouTube pays the bills, but making sausage is, it's good. I like it. Okay, we got there. Let's get the stuffer out. All right, load it up. Press. One less dish. Take the casing, flush thoroughly with lamb casings, and then load on the horn. Bring down slowly to let some of the air out. Pinch the end and stuff. Keep your lamb casings near the end of the tube to prevent them from gripping the stuffing horn and bursting. There we go. Link by making your desired length. That's a 3 or 4 inch. And twisting every other one 3 times. When you're stuffing, make sure that there's a little bit of play in your sausage casing, so when you get to this step, you're not bursting them at every link. You also don't want them too loose, because then your sausage casings will be tough. Here's the other. We'll place these in the freezer for just a bit to firm up before I cut those links. Okay, let's get this sausage tested and make sure it's good for Granny. Put a little bit of that olive oil in the pan just so a sausage doesn't stick. And let it get nice and warm before we pop our 2 little testers in there. Don't worry, Granny gets the bulk of it. These are gonna be pretty yummy. Spread that olive oil around a little bit. All right, the oil's warming up, getting thin, so it could have been a little hotter. Oh well. There we go. Come give them a flip in a minute. Time to give these guys a nice little flip. Cook them in that oil there. Ew, looks good. That nice brown on them. The only thing I'm thinking is I'm curious about how the texture is going to be, because there's no binder in this. We're just depending on the protein and the salt and mixing it all together to see how it tastes. Coming out the ends a little bit, but that's okay. All right, these guys look done. I don't regret putting them in the lamb casing, because since we're cooking chicken, you want to cook it up just a little bit more. But yeah, these guys look nice. There we go. I can see that plating well and being very yummy. Just going to give that a second to cool down before we dive into it. Time to do a test. I'm most interested in the texture. I got a pretty good feeling from the way this smells. The flavor is going to be wonderful. You guys have a look like I always do. Looks good, a little bit on the crumbly side. When you, but you can see some juice coming out of it, so it's probably going to be very flavorful. Okay. That is a very, very yummy sausage. Lots of flavor, tomato, basil, very rich herbiness, juicy. Those chicken thighs with the fat and the skin work perfect. Very yummy. The texture is not a typical sausage texture. I maybe could have mixed it longer. It is a little on the crumbly side, but it's not bad in this sausage. It's actually kind of good. It's not a traditional snap and firm kind of spongy sausage texture. It's crumbly and juicy. A little bit. It's like halfway there, but it's very yummy. So, I'm not sure what will make it to you first, Granny, this video or the sausages. It probably better be the sausages. But yeah, this is one I would make again if I had some extra chicken kicking around. Very good. Thanks for the suggestion, Granny. Thanks for all the wonderful meals over the years. Thanks for taking care of me. And to the rest of you, thanks for watching. Tell your Granny you love her. Like and subscribe. Take care.